Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Heavily Contested Hoops podcast. My name is Peyton Mitchell. Today was a great day. It was the first day of the March Madness tournament, and I was loving it. Now, I'm going to give you a little update on my bracket. Actually, I'm going to give you an update on all 25 of my brackets. They're all busted. Now, when we talk about my brackets, yes, I filled out 25. You're not going to stop me from filling out 25 every year. I might only use one that I consider to put into my pools, but I'm filling out all 25 because if there wasn't an option for 25, then I wouldn't fill out 25. If it was only 24, I'd fill out 24. If it was just one, I'd fill out just one. But I do only enter one into pools that I enter. If I enter a pool, that's the bracket I use for every pool that I enter. But when I got 11 straight picks right this year. Probably not the best that I've done. I was better when I was a kid on my iPad, just picking random teams with mascots. You really do worse when you know more about the sport of basketball. So I need to learn. I probably need to stop filling out 25, but I'm never going to do that because I have so much fun filling out brackets and think of how these possible outcomes in games could go. And this year, boy, these were some hard picks to do because every game today I felt could have gone either way, and a lot of them did go either way. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started right with the first game of the day and talk about TCU versus Ohio State. Boy, was I nervous early. I had I had Ohio State winning, so first, of course, my real bracket it was busted right off the top of the gate out of the gate. I got 11 picks right with one of my other brackets, which was my third bracket that I made this year. Now, when I say my first bracket or my correct bracket is my 25th bracket that I fill out is the last one. It's what I enter into my groups. I'm almost in dead last in those. I'm going to lose some money on that. But hey, we're going to hopefully come back because our final four teams are still there. Even when we're going to talk about it later, Duke survived a scare. And boy, was I scared that I was going to lose all my money. But let's get back to the TCU conversation. This was a very physical game to start the day. And Ohio State was not ready out of the gates. Bruce Thornton, he did not have the greatest day for it, but TCU took a 15-point lead at the half with David Punch sitting out most of it due to foul trouble. Now that's very surprising because well, like I said, they were up 15. That's not what I expected coming in this game. I thought it was going to be a dogfight, which it ended up being a dogfight because of when they came out of halftime. Well, actually, we're going to not skip the halftime yet. Micah Robinson was hot from the field in the first half with 13, and he averages only 10 points a game. So that was a big reason as to why TCU was leading in this game and doing everything that I did not think was going to happen, especially with the fact that Bruce Thornton was playing terrible, as I highlighted yesterday. 20 points per game, their leading scorer. That is not the day I expected from him, and that's almost the reason why they jumped out to a 15-point lead at the break. So now, when we moved coming out of the break, this is where the game flipped. Ohio State went on a 10-0 run to get back into it by the first media in the second half. That was great. That's what we asked for. We were loving that. Bruce Thornton only took one shot during that span, but let me tell you, John Mobley Jr. was balling. He finished with 15, making many clutch shots, many shots that I thought were forced, but hey, he was taking it, he was making it, and if you're going to be a star in March, those are the shots you got to hit. So they took their first lead at 51-50, and it was their first lead since 5-2 in that ball game. And boy, was there a great finish down the stretch. They even pushed it to about 5 at times. I thought they were going to run away with it at the end. I thought TCU had their chance. You don't let them hang around. But after that, there was another big shot by Micah Robinson in the corner. That was a three, put him up three, which forced Ohio State to make another shot. And this was the guy that we had highlighted the other day in Bruce Thornton. And boy, was that a tough three. Season on the line, coming down with confidence. He stroked the thing. And then we had a tie game. We know what ended up happening. The last possession for TCU, Xavier Edmonds laid it in to put the Frogs up 2. There wasn't enough time for Bruce Thornton to make the 46-footer all the way down the court. And that ended the day. So they're moving on to face the team that we are going to talk about a little later in Duke, and we'll highlight that matchup after we talk about the second game that was going on during this time with Nebraska and Troy. Boy, Nebraska, you surprised me. I thought you were not going to be that team Only because I didn't expect your schedule was that great to start the year. Gosh, I got something in my eye, but hey, it is what it is. So coming out of this into this tournament, there was two teams that I thought were gonna bust my bracket: Nebraska and Vanderbilt. After seeing Nebraska play, I still thought that. I changed my mind with Vanderbilt, like I had said. So then going into that, I was like, dude, Troy, they're coming from the Fun Belt. It's going to be an option that gives them that chance to make an upset. And I was thinking that was going to happen early. That was going to happen early. It was honestly not early after the 10-minute mark. It was out of hand and not for the good guys of Troy like I was cheering for. But let's talk about before that 10-minute mark. The Campbell twins were balling early, playing defense, knocking down crazy shots. When the first Campbell twin hit that shot, though, boy, that was a tough shot. I thought it was their day. It was not their day, apparently, and it came to be that Nebraska was up 41-25 at half, but it was all due to Price Stanford, who had 17 points, 5 for 8 from three. In the first half, he was hold on, let me even speak and get that out of my mouth for you. 5 for 8 from three, ended with 17 points because he added two more threes in the second half. So that was a blowout. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more madness for that. But moving on to the next game that we had was number 6 Louisville and number 11 SF or USF. This was the upset that I wanted to happen. This is the upset that I thought was going to happen. And let me tell you, USF played the game that they needed to play to win this ball game. They did exactly what they had done all year and did exactly what they wanted to do in the game. There was just one thing they didn't do. And that was knock down the three ball, baby. Come on, bro. This is where it's just like, really? This is just, I was rooting for this upset. I was rooting for Brian Hodgson, but they were 1 for 17 from three in the first half. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of the boat in the middle of the ocean. And let's just say, I don't know if it was dry, if there was a drought up there in Buffalo, New York, but there was snow on the ground, so you can't have a drought. So there was water if they were to just look for it, and they could not find it. 1 for 17 in the first half, like I said, a little bit better in the second, 4 for 15, and they shot 5 for 33. 5 for 33. You're shooting 33 threes, and you're only making 5. The fact that you only lost this game by 4 is very impressive to me. And there's a big reason for that as to why they lost this game by 4. Louisville turned it over 22 times, and USF attempted 25 more shots than they did. That's just unacceptable. And that's why I had Louisville. Honestly, I had Louisville losing this game because of the way they've been playing down the stretch and because of the way I knew how USF wanted to play. They did everything they needed to do to win the game besides knock down the shots from behind the arc. And that's all I had to say because the late surges just wasn't enough. The hole was dug too deep for them. But I'm going to highlight Isaac McNeely for Louisville. He was 7 for 10 from three, and the Cards shot 52% from behind the arc. That was their difference in the ball game that they hadn't been doing lately. And that's exactly what got them over the hump and made that lead always be 10 every time you looked at the scoreboard until the very end, which that hole ended up being dug a little too deep. So now let's talk about the upset that I said had no chance of happening. I didn't think this High Point team is still the worst that I've seen in the last 3 years. They lost their big in Bodo. So I thought there was no way this is the upset that was going to happen in this tournament. I thought it was going to be Nebraska and Troy if it was going to happen. Maybe McNeese over Vanderbilt. I had no chance thinking Wisconsin was going to lose this game. No chance. I had no faith in High Point. But if I want to prey on the Panthers' downfall, I guess I'm going to have to be their biggest fan because they only lose when I am backing them like they did last year when they played Purdue. But I guess I'm going to have to be their biggest fan now because I have Arkansas going to the Final Four. So I'm a big High Point fan now. So just so my Final Four, I can win some money in my bracket pools. But other than that, High Point, this was the game. This was amazing. I just first had to take my thoughts back. I was not familiar with your game. Chase Johnson, You're a dog, man. You're just an absolute specimen. You got some major balls. That's all I'm gonna say there for that. I'll speak back on that in a second. But now I did feel in this game that it was a three-point shot chucking fest. And that fell right into High Point's favor, which allowed them to win this game. They shot 43s. We talked about it last night when Miami, Ohio, they shot 41 and set an NCAA tournament record. So other than that, that's exactly what happened. Like it was a shot chucking fest. In my opinion, that's where it came, but was High Point was able to stay the course, weather the storm, never let the lead get too big, where Wisconsin never delivered that final knockout punch. So that's where it came down the stretch. And then this man, Chase Johnson, like I just recognized, he is a dog. That logo three hit from Yucatan, as Anthony Edwards would say, he shot that from Yucatan. Coming down the court, straight up, he came up, boom, fired. I'm gonna get lower. Fired that thing. That's a shot. You're down 8 taking that shot. That is a bad shot. That's a bad shot any day. But it's not a bad shot for Chase Johnson. But that's not the best thing I liked about this game for him and his thing. He hadn't made a two all year. But guess what? He leaked out after a missed or a rebound grab by High Point off of a Wisconsin missed layup. He leaked out for the fast break, and he took it to the hole and put the Panthers up 1 with 10 seconds to go. After that, Wisconsin had 2 chances. One right after that, they turned it over, had to foul High Point, missed the free throw, so they had another chance, turn it over. They never got a good look at the basket because High Point came up big with a block on the second to last possession of the game before the missed free throw. So other than that, the game played right into High Point's hands. They never stayed the course. They stayed the course. They never weathered. And you're going to have to give some mid-majors respect. We're going to have to do it. I'm going to have to do it. I take my thoughts back. I am now High Point's biggest fan, only because I need Arkansas to win, and they only win when I'm their fan. But other than that, what a game. What an upset. This is what we live for. We're not going to be talking about this being chalk because this next game, even though the lower seed won, what a game. What a game from Duke and Siena. Jerry McNamara, you played your starters all 40 minutes. That's something, man. I don't know if that was the strategy because they are going to gas out, but it was the strategy for a good 36 minutes of the game that you led. I'm pretty sure they didn't take the lead until 4 minutes left in that game, or really extended their lead to 4 in that game with a Caden Boozer 3 or a layup or the tip out that they were doing all the time. But other than that, J Mac, you had your team with an 11-point lead at halftime against the best team in the country by far that everyone has as their favorite to be the champion. That was impressive, man. That's what we like to see. We love to see games like that in March. It's exactly what we wanted to see. Are we upset that Duke lost or Duke won? Yes, but for my bracket, I got them winning, so I'm a little bit happy. But let's talk about that kid, Gavin Doty, and the rest of the Saints who left it all on the floor. Doty had 21. This is a guy who was a high major recruit for McNamara on this squad, and he's just a sophomore. He's still got time to grow. We're going to see him again. We are going to hear from Gavin Doty again. You better bet that because he's not going away. He is going to get a bag next year wherever he ends up going. If GMAC leaves, like we're going to talk about in a second, Doty might be following him. And where I think I go right now, if we can get Gavin Doty, that's someone that's going to change the mind of the program because he knocks down threes. Now, there's another guy that stepped up huge for this Saints team, and that's Francis Folfack. He had 18, and this kid filled a big role as a freshman for this Siena team all year. I'm going to give it to him. Props off. He played against the best player the best big in the country in Cam Boozer, who has a great case for Naismith Player of the Year. We'll see what happens between him and Darius Acuff Jr. It's going to be a great vote coming up that we have for Naismith Player of the Year. But Francis Folfack, let's give a round of applause to that man right there. He's going to take a big jump in year 2. And hey, schools, go ahead and throw that bag at him. He's ready to go play some high major basketball. But now we got to talk about Duke. That was absolutely embarrassing. That was pitiful for you to be winning the ACC, historically the best conference in basketball. That's not the energy you come out with. I don't care. I don't care if you don't have since you don't have Patrick Ngongba. I don't care if that you don't have Caleb Foster. You just won the ACC tournament with that squad. This is not how you come out to make a statement. This has me downing you and the rest of the country downing how you're going to play. Is Ngungba going to be back? Did they count their cards that they wouldn't need him against the feisty Siena team? Did they not scout enough? Shire said they didn't scout enough. He didn't have him ready. Malik Brown said they thought it was going to be a cakewalk. No game in the tournament's a cakewalk. You got to know this. The history of this tournament is never a cakewalk. You have to come out, you have to beat teams down in the ground and never let them come back. Wisconsin, they didn't beat the team into the ground. We saw them end up losing because they didn't deliver the knockout blow. Other than that, Isaiah Evans, 2 for 8 from three. The team, you're 5 for 26. Shooting struggles happen. Isaiah Evans, this is your shooter. You got to find other ways to get it done. But Cam Boozer, you did get it done. 22 points, 13 rebounds. And how about Caden Boozer, the man? 19 points, 5 assists, and 0 turnovers. Him not turning the ball over as their now starting point guard is what's going to allow them to be able to finish the job at the end of the year in 2 weeks up in Indianapolis and finish this job off that they were not able to do last year. Having that point guard, losing Caleb Foster, it makes you think, oh no, Caden Boozer, here's the keys. What are you going to do? Hey, if you're going to score 19 points and have 5 assists and not turn it over at all, I'll take that every day as long as the rest of your team steps up and you start knocking down some shots. The shots are going to fall. You just got to play a little bit more. You got to be more enthusiastic when you're playing out there because every game means something. This is win or go home. It's not over. It can be over tomorrow if you don't come out there and figure it out. You rebounded. They rebounded well. I'll say that. They rebounded well, 43-31. But what I felt like, all those were tip outs. That was because Siena was gassed. Duke still had it. They were all in tank. They're the better team. They're the bigger team. They're the more conditioned team in that aspect. But when you play this TCU squad coming up, they're going to be physical with you, and they're going to be grabbing those rebounds. So that's going to be a little bit tighter. That you're going to have to come out even feistier than you came out against Siena. Like y'all already know that, but that's how it's going to have to happen. Now let's talk about their rivals down Tobacco Road in UNC. Oh goodness, VCU giving the love to mid majors. Hell yeah, baby. They shut us up again. I thought UNC was gonna breeze by this, and they were running away with this game, and they, of course, Hubert Davis masterclass, another 19-point blow, or a blown lead of this one was 19 points. I've seen it all year. They've blown leads. A major one that they let a bad Syracuse team back into the game late, and it's just like, you're up. Why are you trying to blow these leads? This is the tournament. Teams are never going to go away. You're never going to go away. And here's the reason why this lead dwindled and why they ended up losing this game. They went away from VSAR and started shot checking threes, just like Wisconsin was. Why did you go away from what was working? VSAR had 23, if I'm not mistaken. He had 23, and he was your man all game. You went away from beating them inside, and you started shot chucking threes, and it played right back into VCU's hand. But I'm going to give the credit to VCU here. They continued to fight. They didn't go to sleep. They didn't lay down and die. They didn't curl up in a ball in the corner and say, here you go. Go play in the second round because we don't want it anymore. They said they want it, and they showed that they wanted it even more. UNC got comfortable, and that has been the case with Hubert Davis's squads since 2022, over the past 5 years. And now that's where we got to beg the question that I'm going to bring up in a second. Is this Hubert Davis's fun? Is it over? Is it over in Chapel Hill for Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels as the head coach? But before I talk about that, I'm going to give props to Terrence Hill Jr. 34 off the bench, 7 for 10 from three. You got it done, man. That's a star right there. That's what March is about. It's in the show with one shining moment. You got your one shining moment tonight. Go get another one in round 2. But other than that, Let's go ahead and talk about Hubert Davis. This has been not a great 5 years. 2022, you blow a 15-point lead at halftime to Kansas in the national championship in a game that you were not supposed to be there, that you found a run through that tournament, which that showed you the Carolina standard that you had. Okay, good. They were all calling for your head, making sure you weren't a good coach. But you got to the championship and you had a chance to shut them up. But instead, you blow a 15-point lead and it never changes the next 5 years. It never changes. And that's where I'm going to highlight 2023. We all know what happened there. We don't even have to explain it. That was a disappointment. It didn't work out for him. You didn't play in the NIT. You gave up. It was over. You had it in 2024. This was your best squad you had. And what do? You blow it in the Sweet 16 to Alabama. Then what do you do? What do you do the next year? It's a bad squad again. Didn't recruit well. They didn't pan out for you. You didn't have a center in Lubin, and you lose in the first round. This year, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and say you got to give them benefit of the doubt here. Caleb Wilson was hurt. Caleb Wilson will make a difference in this game, 100%. But you not controlling your team and making it to where you can coach them and make them stop shooting, shot checking threes and going away from what Visar was working with 23 points, if I'm not mistaken, what he had. That's your ball game right there. You should never let a team back with 19 when you're up 19. That's just unacceptable. But it's been time and time and time and time and time and time again for these UNC teams under UNC. Therefore, I think it's time to go. UNC basketball, Duke basketball, they are held at these standards. Duke has won the past 2 ACC championships under John Shire. It's got to be done. It's over. UNC, you got to part ways. Bubba Cunningham, time to say goodbye to him. Go outside the Carolina family and rejuvenate that program and get it back on track. Now, I'm going to just quickly touch over this Texas BYU game. Texas, I had them in my bracket winning this one. It's exactly what happened. AJ DeBansta, absolutely incredible. Texas was just too much for BYU with a Richie Saunders-less BYU squad, which would have made the difference if he was there. I would have had BYU. Texas playing 2 days ago, let them back in after BYU had an extended period of time. That's why I had Texas moving on. That's exactly what happened. But now we're going to go ahead and give this mid-major discussion that has been brought to our attention today. We're going to give it the biggest attention to this video. And I'm going to give a message to the committee and the rest of college basketball right now. We see it right now. There's no reason we should have 10 plus or even conversation that Auburn should even get into a tournament when they are 1 game above 500, when we have teams like Miami, Ohio, 1 regular season loss, High Point, 4 regular season losses, UNCW, 27-6, Yale, 24-7, Belmont, 26-6, Stephen F. Austin, 28-5. And we also watched St. Louis beat a Georgia team by almost 40 tonight. That game wasn't even close. It was over. It was over from half. It was over from the jump. It was not even close. It was not even worth watching. But you know why it was worth watching? Because it shows you that mid-major basketball is worth watching and worth playing against. Because no game is easy when you play college basketball and you lace up and you get on the court for 40 minutes. It'll never change. Mid-major basketball is one of the best basketball games in the country at any level, from the MAAC to whoever you want to say. You want to say A10 to MAAC? We saw both of those go at it with absolute dogs tonight. They didn't care. They laid it out on the line, and mid-major basketball just needs to be talked about. Now, when we talk about St. Louis, there's nothing we got to talk about. It was St. Louis from the jump. It was over. But now when we talk about this SMU squad that got in over UNCW, Yale, Belmont, they were never even in the conversation. SMU on the road has a tough chance at losing at Trask. They have a tough chance at losing at Yale. They have a tough chance at losing in Nashville against Belmont. And there's no way they beat a Stephen F. Austin team down there who's 28-5 and had to play McNeese, who has won the conference 3 years in a row. they won't even win on a neutral court. SMU on the road was by far one of the worst teams ever. That's why we saw Miami, Ohio win. They're going to come out and they're going to make a statement tomorrow against Tennessee or today against Tennessee whenever you're listening to this. So SMU, they should have never been in the conversation, especially when they lied saying BJ Edwards should have been ready. We're going to have to start making it to where teams are going to have to 100% submit the injury report. And if it's wrong, they're going to have to pay a fine because there's no reason SMU would have been in the tournament if they say BJ Edwards is not playing. So other than that, mid-majors, they need to be respected. They're being disrespected right now, but it has been proved in the last 48 hours that they're here to stay and Cinderella is not dead. VCU, even they were in mid-major. I forgot to even highlight them like I did earlier, just I was talking about them, but they're also mid-major. They wouldn't even got in the tournament. They were not going to be in the tournament if they did not win the Atlantic 10 Conference. That's terrible. That's awful. We need to stop worrying. This is where we're going to have to stop worrying about the net. The net is the problem in college basketball. You are worrying off of analytics. There's no reason that a top 75 game means something. A top 75 team, you playing them on the road, that's a joke. That's terrible. That is not a quad one game. That is not top 75. 75 teams don't even make the tournament. Why is that a quad one win? That is atrocious to even think about. And the fact that quad one win games can change through the year, let's get rid of the net. Go back to RPI, but let's just watch college basketball and understand that we can get teams in the tournament. And if you want to come back at me saying, let's expand the tournament then. No. There are teams that don't belong in the tournament. A 17 and 16 Auburn did not earn their way to the tournament. If you want to put a UNCW team in like that, that's fine. But if you extend the tournament, they're not going to get those bids. They're going to go to more high major teams like Oklahoma and Auburn. That's what's going to happen if you extend the tournament. That's not what you want to see. So that's why mid-majors need to be respected, why we don't even need to expand the tournament, and why we need to get rid of the net. My first thing, get rid of the net. If you're on the committee, watch college basketball and you know what teams are good and which teams are not good. And high majors, schedule mid-majors. Because guess what? Even if we're going to keep the net, that's going to change when they go run through their conference because you're on a neutral court, so you're going to be in the top 50. So that's going to be a quad one loss, which is not going to hurt you. As what they were saying with Auburn, even though they were 17 and 16 because they played the hardest schedule. I don't care. 17 and 16, you did not earn a bid. 31 and 1, you earned a chance to play in the tournament. 27 and 6, you earned a chance to play in the tournament. 26 and 6, you earned a chance. 24 and 7, 28 and 5. If you have single digit losses, you earned the opportunity to play in the best tournament in the country or in the world of all time ever. The best tournament, hands down. You deserved it. These teams deserved it. Miami, Ohio, High Point, St. Louis, VCU. Way to ball out for the mid-majors. But now I'm going to stop ranting about mid-majors, and we're going to go on to the games to watch tomorrow. Starting off hot. This one's going to be a close one, 100%. Mark my words, this one's going to be a close one. Number 7, Miami versus number 10, Missouri. Jay Lucas has this squad playing unbelievable after his year. I think they've been one of the most disrespected Power 5 teams in the country. 100% disrespected. I think they cover the 1.5 spread. I mean, they're going to have to win by 1. If it's a 1-point game, I'm going to love that. That's what we want in March. They're going to win by more than 1. They're going to win by 5 easily. Count on it. Missouri SEC, it's overrated. They're not going to play good in the tournament. There's a case that you could probably say Missouri does not belong in this tournament, but because they had Oklahoma and Auburn as your first 2 out, Missouri deserved to be in. So Miami's my chance. Trey Donaldson, Malik Renew. That's where it's at, right there. Boom. I'm riding you home to victory. Now we're gonna move down another ACC team playing a Big Ten squad. But I got number 9 Iowa beating number 8 Clemson. We're taking the favorites here. I just don't think Clemson has it. It's not the squad they had last year, and I said that with High Point. I said it wasn't the squad. But Iowa, I feel like the Big Ten, they're a little bit more battle tested. Clemson's been struggling, and they had a. It's in the cards for Iowa. They're my pick, 2.5. I love that the spread's 2.5. It's going to be a good game. If Clemson pulls away, good thing for the ACC because they need it. They are now one and three, 1-2 with no 2-2. Louisville, Duke wins. North Carolina, SMU losses, or 2-3. NC State. I forgot about NC State. Don't even get me started on that. Will Wade, your team was terrible this year. We knew it was going to happen, but other than that, it's fine. The ACC was an absolute disappointment. That's why I think Clemson's going to lose. Now we move down to Villanova, Utah State. I have no idea how this game is going to go. I like Utah State. Villanova did not look great in the Big East. Utah State, we're going to give the Mountain West some love. The Big East is not disrespecting the Mountain West is. Let's go ahead and throw it on Utah State to win that one. But after that, thanks for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you tell me what we need to talk about better, what I need to prepare better for. And tune in for the next episode on the Heavily Contested Hoops podcast. I about forgot the name already. It's only technically the episode 2 of the real name of this. Tune in next time or tomorrow or whenever you want to listen to it. Anytime. It's streaming whenever you want. Heavily Contested Hoops podcast, Spotify, YouTube. We're going to try to get it on Apple. But listen to wherever you want to listen to podcasts, YouTube. You can watch me rant, watch me get a little bit animated. I probably need to be more animated. But other than that, tune in for the next one. And let's see if Hubert Davis gets fired. Have a good one.